Everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Global Mandatory E-Invoicing by Country. My name is Ashley, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Today, we'll be covering e-invoicing, country-specific updates, anticipated trends, and practical tips. Before we begin, I have just a few housekeeping items. A friendly reminder that Avalara cannot provide legal or tax advice. On your screen is our safe harbor policy. Please take a moment to review that while I continue with some additional housekeeping items. We are recording today's event, so if you'd like the recording later today, you'll receive that via email. And then there are a few ways to interact with the audience or with our presenter today. So first, we have the Ask a Question box. You can submit a question using that Ask a Question box, and we have some time saved at the end for Q&A. If you have any troubleshooting questions, you can also submit that using the Q&A box. Second, we have our attendee chat. You can click the icon at the bottom of your screen with the two chat bubbles. The attendee chat will appear. We encourage you to introduce yourself, network, and discuss today's topic. Third, you can react to the presentation by clicking the emoji icon and reacting. And then I would also like to call out the additional resources section that includes a lot of great related resources, including today's slide deck, which you can download. And then lastly, just a quick reminder that this webinar is not eligible for CPE credit. All right, let's meet today's presenter. We are joined by Alexander Sutter, Principal Product Manager of e-invoicing and live reporting at Avalara. Alexander, can you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Ashley. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's presentation of global e-invoicing mandates by country. My name is Alexander Sutter. I'm responsible for Avalara's e-invoicing and live reporting in the DACH region, and I'm based in Germany. With more than 24 years of experience in the e-invoicing and EDI business, and as a lecturer at the university in Stuttgart in Germany, I bring both practical experience and also an academic insight to today's discussion. Today, I will guide you through the evolving landscape of e-invoicing regulations around the world and how these changes can affect your business. Over the next 45 minutes to 60 minutes, we'll explore the challenges, the benefits, and the innovative solutions shaping this field. Let's begin. Let's have a look on the agenda at first. Today, we will cover several critical areas. An introduction to the fundamentals of e-invoicing and live reporting. A detailed look at the mandates in key countries, specifically Germany, France, Poland, Spain, and the United Kingdom. An exploration of the benefits and challenges of adopting digital invoicing. A review of international exchange networks and connectivity framework like PEPAL and DBNA. A comprehensive look on how Avalara solutions support VAT and e-invoicing compliance end-to-end. Now, let's have a deep dive into the benefits and details of e-invoicing. E-invoicing refers to electronic exchange of structured invoice data, which is machine readable. That's a key point to understand. This replaces traditional paper or unstructured formats like PDF, Excel, or Word files with standardized formats such as XML, including UNCII, which means cross-industry invoice, or UBL, or even hybrid formats that offer both human and machine readability. The goal is to create a more efficient, error-free process that supports both automated and manual review while reducing process time and costs. In today's digital environment, many governments are not only requiring e-invoicing, but also mandating live reporting. Live reporting involves the real-time transmission of transactional and tax data to tax authorities, often before VAT returns are submitted. This dual approach supports continuous transaction controls by ensuring that invoices data is both exchanged in a standardized format, which is the e-invoicing part, and reported immediately, enhancing the speed and accuracy of tax audits and fraud prevention. There are several key drivers behind the push for e-invoicing and live reporting. The first is reducing VAT gaps. Second is fraud prevention. The third is streamlined audits. And the fourth is compliance standardization. These factors forces businesses and companies outside to adopt digital solutions to meet evolving regulatory demands. In recent studies, including research from PwC in 2024, show that countries worldwide are rapidly shifting toward a digital tax reporting. Regulations are in a constant flow, driven by the need for faster, more secure data handling. As these trends continue, businesses must prepare for a future where digital reporting becomes a standard, where proactive compliance is not just an option, it's a must. Let's have a look a little bit on the timeline. And this slide might be confusing for you, but it's not the intention to read it through, but this timeline highlights the evolution of e-invoicing mandates over the last 2 decades and projects future developments over the next 5 years. We see early adoption in countries like Argentina and Brazil, followed by gradual implementation of digital invoicing system across Europe and beyond. Moving forward, milestones from 2024 up to 2030 illustrate a clear shift towards a fully digital, real-time tax reporting. This is historical and is a historical perspective, sets the stage for understanding today's mandates and tomorrow innovations which is in front of us. Further, you can see here, also displayed on that slide, that many mandates will go live in 2026 and 2027 in European countries such as Belgium, France, Germany, Latvia, Slovenia, Spain, and so on. Despite its many benefits, e-invoicing comes with a lot of challenges. Let me read out some of the challenges businesses are facing. We have to see and understand that there is currently no global standard for e-invoicing. E-invoicing rules vary across countries, creating compliance challenges. We have different formats, regulation, and tax frameworks, which adds a lot of complexity. Businesses must adapt to multiple systems, increasing costs and efforts. New regulations are coming very fast, and businesses must be ready for that. Non-compliance can lead into penalties and operational risks. Companies need a scalable technology to stay ahead with a minimal disruption. Further, e-invoicing requires an investment, but future costs can be a burden. Initial implementation is just a start. The ongoing updates of new mandates, of updating mandates can add expenses. Businesses need cost-effective solutions that can scale with the growth given by countries or tax authorities. If you're integrating e-invoicing with existing systems such as ERP systems, it isn't always easy and seamless. I think we have to keeping up with always changing compliance rule in countries and mandates, which requires continuous updates. Businesses must ensure their system remain flexible and also future-proof. Let's conclude here at this slide already. And I think that we can say that e-invoicing is the future. But without a global standard, businesses must stay proactive. Investing in adaptable technology, in strategic plannings, will help minimize disruption and control the costs. And always keep an eye on the timeline which is happening out there. Here on this slide, I would like to present you an overview on multiple and diverse implementation models. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. The model range from minimal tax authority involvements to highly regulated real-time systems. We have complex reporting requirements that businesses must adapt to periodic VAT reporting and post-issuance audits. We have real-time demands, which means integrating live reporting alongside conventional invoicing, which requires a significant process change. We have interoperability issues, ensuring that different systems can communicate effectively in a critical hurdle. Addressing these challenges is the key to achieve a smooth transition to digital invoicing. Non-compliance bears significant risk of penalties. Here on this slide, there are some examples from the catalog of fines in some countries for your reference. I don't want to go through all of that, but just want to display it can be penalties, it can be expensive if we are not following up, or if you as a business does not follow up to the mandates. Besides penalties, let's also look on the positive side. E-invoicing delivers benefits that go well beyond regulatory compliance. It can generate cost saving, such as you eliminate paper, printing, and any postage expensive. You don't need a stamp, you don't need an envelope anymore. Automated processing reduces manual workload and speed up invoices, approvals, and results and increase efficiency in your company. You can reach faster payments because you are simply quicker in delivery and processing the cash flow. You can have improved business relationship with your partners, your suppliers, your customers, and you have a streamlined operations to much smoother transactions. Standardized processes support cross-border businesses very seamlessly. And additionally, built-in audit trails and automated controls reduce the risk of errors and penalties and give you the benefit of an enhanced compliance. And, which is also important nowadays, secure encrypted data transmission minimizes fraud risks. These benefits collectively contribute to a more robust financial operation and security in your company. Now, let's have a look on international exchange networks as they are become more important and more public in Europe as well in other places in the world. As an essential component of such a successful e-invoicing strategy is the use of international exchange networks such as PayPal. PayPal is initiated in 2008, and PayPal is established standard for the electronic exchange of invoices and as well other procurement documents such as orders, delivery notes, or whatever. PayPal is managed by the Open PayPal Association, and it allows businesses to securely send and receive compliant invoices across borders. Important to understand is that PayPal is not limited to Europe only. Several countries outside the European Union have adopted the PayPal framework to improve procurement processes. For instance, countries like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore have all implemented PayPal as part of their digital procurement and invoice strategy. In Singapore, for example, the Invoice Now initiative leverages PayPal standard to simplify the invoice process, demonstrating the global appeal and the utility of the PayPal network. Whether you are operating in the European Union or other regions, PayPal ensures that your invoicing processes are standardized. I think that is really a huge improvement for sending invoices, especially within Europe, and as you can see, other countries are adapting to that. Let's have a look across the Atlantic to the United States. In the United States, the approach to e-invoicing differs from many other regions in the world. There's no government mandate for e-invoicing since the US lacks a federal VAT or GST system. Instead, it's a little bit different here. Digital invoicing is driven primarily by businesses' efficiencies. However, there are many pockets of activity, especially in certain public sectors or large enterprises, where digital invoicing is becoming more common. Avalara, by the way, is a certified service provider for the DB&A framework, which supports secure and efficient B2B digital invoice exchange in this market. Now, let's look at VIDA. It's an European thing. VIDA stands for VAT in the digital age, and I will have later some more detailed country-specific requirements, and we'll have a better look on that. Just let me stick on this slide here for a moment. VIDA represents a revolutionary shift in how VAT is managed in the digital era. As a one-stop shop for VAT registration and compliance, VIDA expands the traditional OSS to include both cross-border B2B and B2C transactions. Its key feature includes simplify VAT registration, digital VAT reporting, platform economy support, and enhanced fraud detection. VIDA is become an official EU directive, further harmonizing VAT procedures across the member states in Europe. Relevant for today's discussion in the digital VAT reporting and e-invoicing initiative, we will have a look on it. Let's have a look on this timeline quickly. Just a few days ago, on 12th of February, the vote in the EU Parliament took place and confirmed the final package of VIDA, which is with a strong majority. The EU Council agreed that the new EU system for digital reporting requirements, short DRR, should be operational in 2030, and that all existing national systems should be interoperable with the EU systems by 2035. So it's still a little bit time in front of us, but it's coming. It's decided by the EU Parliament, and all the member states have to follow to this regulation. Let's focus now on Germany, one of the key markets driving e-invoicing innovation. First, let's talk about the key dates. Starting in January 25, so nearly 2 months ago, all businesses operating in Germany must be ready to receive electronic invoices in B2B transactions. The obligation to issue e-invoices, however, it will come a little bit later. Let's look on 1st of January 27. For businesses with an annual turnover exceeding 800,000 euro, it will become mandatory. And then, a year later, in January 2028, it will become mandatory for all other businesses in Germany. These requirements of e-invoicing starting 27-28 will apply to taxable persons in B2B in Germany. Also, there are some exemptions. For example, if you have simplified invoices under 250 euro, tickets for passenger transportation, they are excluded. If we talk about an e-invoice, as we learned, it's defined as unstructured data, designed for automated processing, machine readable, and it must comply with the EN 16931 standard. And in Germany, we have here accepted formats, which are X-Rechnung and Zugführt. I will come in a minute later to another slide on the details. But we also have, regarding EDI, electronic data interchange, it's very common here in Germany due to the industries we're having, such as automotive. It will be still possible to use EDI after January 28, but only if it's adjusted or compliant with the standard of EN 1693. I have prepared a detailed slide on this in a minute. Finally, and also very important to understand, is that Germany has currently no clearance model in place right now. But the government has clearly stated that some of the forms of reporting functionality will be introduced at a later stage. The exact details of that future model have not been defined, and everybody is of course curious how it will look like. This rigorous phased approach underscores Germany's commitment to modernizing its tax infrastructure while maintaining strict compliance standards. Let's have a look on the timeline for Germany in a comprehensive way. Basically, it includes what I have just mentioned, but maybe it's worth having a look on 26, where businesses should focus on their agreement paperwork for e-invoicing and get contracts in place. As mentioned, in Germany, we have e-invoicing standards in place, such as X-Rechnung and Zugführt. Let me explain the differences here. X-Rechnung is a structured electronic invoice format which is based on UBL. Zugführt, on the other hand, is a hybrid format, or so-called hybrid format, which is a human-readable format with an attached structured XML, and this attached XML is based on UNCI, cross-industry invoice. By the way, the XML part is the binding and legally relevant part of the invoice. The Zugführt format is 100% identical with the French format Facture X, as Germany and France developed this standard together. And by the way, something I would like to share with you. If the X is in front of the format like X-Rechnung, it is a fully structured document. If the X is at the end of the format name like Facture X, then it's always a hybrid format. This applies also to other document types, such as Orders X, for example. On these slides, I have summarized more detailed the typical usage of all allowed formats in Germany. By the way, as mentioned, using PEPAL is always allowed in the European Union to use. This is also why I have here the BIS PEPAL building UBL 2.1 XML again. In Germany, we have one specific situation as which format is used is a question of the German civil law, and that can only be decided between the contracting parties. That means you need to talk to your business partner actively and agree if you want to use Zugfahrt, for example, or if you agree on using X-Rechnung, or maybe you want to agree on using EDI formats. EDI typically involves EDIFACT and also the various subsets there, and which is also common in Germany, the VDA standard. Documents are usually delivered through a well-established industry protocol such as X400, AS2, or OFTP2. These formats are entirely machine-readable, which makes automated processing straightforward, but they are not designed to read directly by humans, unlike Zugfahrt. In terms of usage, EDI is broadly implemented for B2B transaction within Germany, as well as for cross-border operations and custom declarations. It's widely used across several industries, including automotive, retail, and chemical, and many other industries. But now regarding the compliance timelines, it's important to note that until December 31st, 27, certain structured electronic invoice formats that do not comply with the EN standard can still be used. This includes very clearly EDI procedures. But starting from 1st of January 28, you may continue using established EDI formats such as EDIFACT beyond the transitional period, but only if you can fully and accurately extract all the VAT relevant information into an XML format that aligns to the EN 16931 standard. Therefore, a typical double conversion approach might be a smart way to do, and you can continue. And maybe the XML format can be X-Rechnung, as an example. I would like to share some important information about France's upcoming e-invoicing and e-reporting mandate. These changes will affect businesses operating in France and those registered for French VAT beginning in September of 26. Let's break down what you need to know. Again, start date in France is September 26. Details about large, small companies will come on the next slides. Who is affected? Taxpayers established in France and businesses registered for French VAT. France is introducing a decentralized continuous transaction control system, short CTC. Under this system, businesses must use certified providers called partner dematerialization platforms, or so-called PDBs. Let's have a look at the role of such an PDB partner. PDB will facilitate the exchange of complete invoices between trading partners. PDBs will further report the invoice to the Portail de Publique Facturation, PPF, which is the public invoice portal managed by the French tax authorities. It becomes clearer in a minute as I have a picture of the process, how it looks like in France. If we look on the e-invoicing requirements, the e-invoicing mandate covers issuing, transmission, and receipt of domestic B2B invoices. Acceptable electronic formats includes UBL, CII, or Factor X. Remember here, the German format Zugfahrt is basically the same, and the same in Germany, we have UBL, CII as well. All e-invoices must be exchanged via an approved third-party PDB. The public invoice portal, PPF, is primarily used to receive e-reporting data from PDBs rather than to serve the main platform for exchanging invoices. Let's have a look on the e-reporting obligations. In addition to e-invoicing, businesses must comply with e-reporting requirements, and details can be found here on this slide for your reference. B2B non-domestic intra-community invoices, B2B export invoices, B2B import of services, B2C invoices, receipt data, and as well payment data. To comply with new French e-invoicing and reporting mandates, businesses must ready to adopt certified PDBs, handle structured invoice formats, and report transaction data in real time. Let's have a quick look on the French timeline. There are two major dates on it. 1st of September 2026, where the obligation to receive e-invoicing starts for all companies. Additionally, the obligation to issue invoice for large companies. A year later, 1st September of 27, all businesses in France are required to issue e-invoices. On this slide, we can see the detailed process of the CTC model in France and how the PTB and the PPF portal is involved with it. In a matter of time, you can keep it for your reference if you download the slides later. I think with the visualization becomes clear. Again, on the next slide, I would like to highlight again the major dates displayed here, and the following links to the French tax authority, which shows the grouping of what is a large company or what is a small company in France. In short, there are 4 categories. There's micro, petite, moyenne, and grand enterprises. At this point, I would also like to mention that Avalara was one of the first accredited PTB in France. Now, let's check on Spain's approach on digital invoicing. Currently, live reporting is mandatory for all taxpayers in Spain, with revenues exceeding 6 million euros. This is done through the SII system. Please excuse my Spanish is not that well. Let's keep it with the SII system, which ensures that real-time submission of invoice data to the tax authorities. But looking ahead, the next big step in Spain is the implementation of Verifact 2, a new system designed to integrate with billing system, particularly for taxpayers who are not using SII. So what does Verifact 2 aim to achieve? First, it ensures the integrity, traceability, and conversion or conservation and archiving of invoice data. It will log all events and register a billing record for every transaction. The system will enable continuous, secure, accurate, and instantaneous reporting of all electronic invoice records directly to the tax administration. A crucial security feature in Spain is the addition of a fingerprint or a hash, which will be used for both the registration and cancellation of invoices. Finally, invoices generated through these systems will include a QR code, enhancing transparency and compliance. With these changes, Spain is taking really a significant step towards a fully digitized and secure tax reporting system. Let's look as well here on a timeline in Spain. Now my slide got a little bit hanged. Now it's coming. 2026 will be the important year, highlighted in January and July on the slide, as all companies must move to Verifact 2, and later in July, also self-employed persons must have it. I want to discuss on the next slide an important update regarding B2B invoicing mandate that will come into effect. The key point here is that this mandate we're talking about will enforce 12 months after the publication of the royal decree in the state's official gazette. However, it's important to note that this decree has not been published yet. So personally, I expect further delay in the Spanish mandate on the dates we have just said before. But now let's talk about how companies will be able to exchange e-invoicing under this new regulation. If it comes a little bit later, but it will come. There will be 2 main ways to do so. The first one is through public billing portal, which will be available to all companies. Or second, through private service providers, offering more flexibility in how e-invoices are managed and exchanged. There are 4 approved invoice formats in Spain that companies will need to use. Again, it is UBL, Universal Business Language, CII, Cross-Industry Invoice, EDFact, and Factura A. which specifically when you're using the public invoice portal. Lastly, a keynote on the digital signatures. A digital signature will be mandatory if invoices are exchanged via private service providers. This does not apply if the public billing portal is used. So to recap, companies will need to be prepared for e-invoicing by 2026 with specific formats as UBL, CRI, EDFACT, Factura E, similar to the other countries we have seen, and status updates will follow in the next months, I guess. Important, private service providers will require digital signatures. Let's look in Poland. Poland's approach to e-invoicing is both structured and phased, and reflecting the country's commitment to digital transformation. Poland has already introduced B2G, business to government, e-invoicing mandate, and from 2026, the system will expand to B2B, business to business transactions. There will be a staged approach throughout 26. Important to hear is it will be February 1st, 2026. Large companies with a sales revenue from the year before 25 exceeding 200 million Polish zloty, which is approximately 50 million US dollars, must comply first. And then on 1st of April later, all companies become subject to the mandate. This applies to companies established in Poland, including foreign VAT-registered entities with a fixed establishment in Poland. All invoices will be processed via the national system of e-invoices, so-called KSEF. Also, excuse here, my Polish is not that well. Currently, it's version 2, while the Polish tax authority is working on version 3 already. Under this system, each invoice must be validated or cleared by the KSEF portal before being issued to the buyer. Additionally, there will be a free mobile app available from KSEF, which allows users to manually create e-invoices and send them to the KSEF portal, receive e-invoices that are registered there, and verify compliance of invoices delivered as a PDF, for example. The Polish taxpayers will issue and receive structured e-invoices in an XML format following a specific logical structure known as FAVET. This is a Polish unique XML format which is built by the Polish authorities. Importantly, it will be possible to attach some additional documents and can be created to each invoice. In summary, from 2026, Poland will progressively enforce mandatory e-invoicing for B2B transactions. Businesses need to prepare for this transition by ensuring they can generate and validate and manage invoices via the KSEF portal, following the required specific Polish XML standard. Let's also look here on a timeline for Poland. 1st February, again, is the obligation for larger companies. 1st of April, the obligation for remaining companies. 1st of August, requirements include the KSEF number in payments and integrate cash registers in KSEF. 1st of October 26, traditional invoicing methods will be phased out. And at the end of the year, will be offline invoicing will be not longer permitted. These slides show you in detail the e-invoicing processes in Poland, but also in regards of time, I would like to move on, and you can use the slides for your reference to deep dive into the processes procedure in Poland. Finally, let's review the situation in the United Kingdom. Unlike many European countries, the UK does not have any mandatory e-invoicing system. Instead, there are formal legal requirements governing the issuance, receipt, and storage of electronic invoices under UK VAT regulations. However, there's a voluntary adoption and existing practices. Many public bodies, such as NHS, the National Health Services, have developed administrations and have also implemented e-invoicing as part of their supply chains already. However, in the private sector remains varied, often relying on legacy systems such as EDI, which is common to send invoices. However, Let's look on the timeline here, and let's look on the timeline for the UK OPED consultation on electronic invoicing, which is a significant move by the HM Revenue and Customs and the Department for Business and Trade, aimed with the modernization of invoicing and tax reporting systems in the UK. The consultation invites businesses, industry experts, stakeholders to share their views on standardization of e-invoicing and exploring whether a voluntary or a mandatory approach best suits the UK economy. The focus is the same as in European countries on reducing administrative burdens, improving cash flow, and enhancing compliance through a seamless digital invoicing. Let's look at the key timelines. February 13th, just a few weeks ago, the consultation officially opens. For the next 12 weeks now, stakeholders are encouraged to submit their feedback. On May 7th, the consultation period closes, making the end of this phase of public input. Between June and August this year, the government will review and analyze the feedback received, which will then inform the development and a proposed e-invoicing framework. In November, the proposed regime is expected to be announced during the Chancellor's autumn budget. Looking ahead to 2030, there's a potential for a full e-invoicing mandate by 2030. In the interim, maybe between 2026 and 2027, will be dedicated to developing legal and technical specifications, which is following by 28-29 for system testing and pilot phases. So, as conclusion, in UK, this consultation is a crucial step toward transforming the way businesses operate in the UK. By leveraging digital invoicing, the H&M Revenue and Customs aim to boost efficiency, reduce errors, and support a more competitive economy. Let's cross the Atlantic and have a look on e-invoicing in the United States again. In the United States, the scenario is markedly different. There's no federal mandate for e-invoicing since the US lacks VAT and GST systems. Invoices are treated as standard business documents, and the absence of input tax credits means there's less regulatory pressure for digital invoicing. Despite the lack of a government mandate, many US businesses are adopting digital invoicing practices to enhance efficiency, reduce errors, and streamline payments and their processes. This example highlights how different tax regimes shape the adoption of e-invoicing solutions. We had now Europe, we have seen how it's dealt in European countries, we see how UK is making a consultation, and we see that in US it's completely different. Let's have a look on how it can be simplified. The B2B Digital Highway by DBNA. Connectivity is a key to successful digital invoicing. The concept of the B2B Digital Highway allows businesses to connect through a single access point, facilitating the secure exchange of e-invoicing regardless the underlying platform they use. This approach not only overcomes interoperability challenges, but also ensures that companies can seamlessly integrate with partners and systems across international borders. To finish this webinar session, please allow me to have a quick overview about Avalara. With a presence of 15 offices globally and serving over 43,000 customers, our solutions are designed to meet the challenges of an increasingly digital and global tax landscape. Since 2004, we have grown over 5,300 employees. As we near to the conclusion and to the main content, remember that Avalara provides an end-to-end solution for VAT compliance. Our integrated approach means that whether you are dealing with domestic invoices or cross-border transactions, our systems are designed to ensure seamless, secure, and efficient operations. And e-invoicing is obviously a part of it. And our solution, or our cloud solution, our system called ELR for e-invoicing and live reporting, can be your solution for your demands and we are certified in many countries, as you can display and see it here on this slide. We just had a mainly European view on this webinar here, but you can see beside that we are also certified in many other countries. Another important aspect of our ELR solution, it's a compatibility with a wide range of industry-leading platforms and ERP systems, such as SAP, NetSuite, or other systems. Avalara integrates seamlessly to ensure that your invoicing process are streamlined and they're very efficient. Further, as one of my last slides, we are proud to share that Avalara has been recognized by the IDC MarketScape as a leader in European compliant e-invoicing solutions in 2024. As we have seen, the regulatory landscape is both complex and rapidly evolving. I think factors such as technological advancements varying in country-specific requirements and ongoing changes in the digital reporting standard means that businesses must be agile and forward-thinking. Our approach at Avalara is to offer you a flexible, scalable solution that adapts as regulations in the countries evolving and ensuring you that you remain compliant regardless of any changes in the environment or in any mandate in any country. In summary, today, I think we have covered the fundamental concepts of e-invoicing and live reporting and what it means, and why there is an essential in today's digital tax landscape. I think we found out the primary driven behind these mandates, including fraud reduction, audit efficiency, and compliance standardization. In depth, detailed reviews of the e-invoicing mandates in Germany, France, Spain, Poland, and the United Kingdom. We have seen how international exchange networks like PayPal and connectivity framework such as the B2B Digital Highway enable seamless cross-border invoicing. And we have seen Avalara's end-to-end VAT compliance solutions that can help you and your business to navigate through these complexities while unlocking benefits such as cost savings, efficiency, and improved security. My personal key takeaways from today's session is we should stay ahead of regulatory changes. It is an imperative in mitigating compliance risks. Digital invoicing is not only simplifying tax processes, but also enhances operational efficiency and security. And partnering with an experienced provider like Avalara can transform your invoicing processes and ensure long-term success in an increasingly digital world. Thanks for your time today. I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alexander, for going through that presentation. We do have time for Q&A, but before we get to that, I just have one quick poll question for the attendees. And this is if you would like follow-up from an Avalara sales representative. So if you're interested in talking with the team about anything you heard today more in depth, you can hit yes, and we will follow up with you. So I will let you answer that, and we will advance on to the Q&A section. So just as a reminder, you can drop questions in the Ask a Question box. And we've had quite a few come in so far. So let's get started. Let's see, a first question we have is from Amanda, and it's on the Vita timeline, everything was listed as in-country transactions. Are these different timelines requirements for international, are there different timelines requirements for international transactions? For example, Canada selling into Germany.
It's a good question. And let me answer this way. I would say the main focus between Vita is within the European Union, between the member states. So for now, and as everything is fresh, remember just the EU Parliament on 12th of February has voted for Vita going forward. I think the key focus will be Europe and not the transaction from invoices outside. But of course, we have to follow up in the next years. I mean, it's until 2030, it's still 5 years to go. Let's see if there are new regulations or new stuff is coming up. But for now, I would keep it between businesses within Europe.
Okay. Our next question is from Robert. If we are a business only located in the US and we occasionally sell into Europe, will we be required to use these formats? We do not collect VAT.
No, these formats are currently, especially let's say in Germany, for example, or in France, these are within B2B transactions within the countries. So if I sell something in Germany, I have to use these formats. If I sell something to France, for example, I can still basically make a paper invoice. With VIDA coming, if I have to sell from Germany to France, I have to make also an electronic invoice format. Not yet from cross-border from US to Germany. But again, here it will be still a lot of changes in front of us. And that's what I said during my presentation here in the webinar, that you always have to hear very closely to the governments and to the tax authorities what they're planning to do, and their mind can change from time to time, as we have seen and learned in some countries that regulations can come up very suddenly. But I would say for the specific question again, I would say not for the scope for now.
Okay. Next question. For Germany, do we need to accept PEPL BIS invoices or only the German specific files?
The PEPL BIS invoice or BIS3 invoice is basically the same as the X-Rechnung UBL. So as of January 1st, 25, you have to receive. You have to be able to receive electronic invoices. Also, you have, of course, a possibility to phone up your partner, your supplier, or whatever, and tell him, "Hey, I'm not ready yet. Can you still send me a paper, or can you send me a Zugpferd, which is human readable, for example?" But as it becomes more strict in this phased approach to 27 and 28, there will be a time where you cannot escape from that anymore. And you kind of have to be able to receive all kind of invoices, unless again in Germany is maybe a little bit specific to other countries, as Germany is saying it's part of the civil law, and a civil law means that you can phone up your customer, your partner, your supplier, and tell him, "Hey, can we agree to use Zugpferd, or can we agree on X-Rechnung, for example, or we just simply continue with EDIFACT." And that gives you the room to breathe and space to say, we agree on one format. So if you are strong enough with your suppliers, you can go and say, "Hey, X-Rechnung is, for example, the standard. Please go all with that." That would simplify it a little bit. I hope that explanation helps a little bit.
Okay. Next question. When does Avalara expect to be able to do e-reporting for France, during the pilot phase or when the mandate comes in September 2026?
I'm not working specifically in a French mandate in Avalara, as I'm working for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland mostly. As far as I know, it will be comply with 26, but I'm happy to take this question forward to my colleagues.
Okay. A question from Sunny. Do these XML formats for each country differ a lot, or is there a big overlap in the core requirements?
I would say there's a very big overlap. The only one which is maybe outstanding is Poland. That's a complete, unique and different XML, and without Polish language skills, it will be even nearly impossible to read it. That's a little bit away from what the other countries in Europe are doing. Again, like Germany and France, we developed the the standards together. So if you take Zugfurt or Factor X, it's 100% identical. So there is not even a line difference. And if it goes to UBL, and UBL is also used for PEPAL, it's also very similar. There might be country-specific fields within the standard, which is maybe required in certain countries, but it still complies to the UBL overall standard. So I would say that is that's already a good thing. Yeah.
Next question is from Beth. Do UK companies trading internationally need to be able to integrate with PEPAL to send and receive invoices to countries who fully adopt e-invoicing?
That's a good question. Until now, not, as it's still considered as cross-border. But of course, it is a possibility. If you're joining PEPAL, as it makes it easier, you can simply send an invoice from UK to Sweden. The other hand, I can send from Germany to Spain. PEPAL is a large European network, which makes it easy to do such transactions in a secured and standardized way. So that's a huge benefit of it. There is not an obligation yet to do so, but with VIDA coming and tax frauds and all such stuff in our minds, that government and tax authorities want to have a close look on what we're doing and how things and invoices are done. There might be a time this will also come on our desk.
Okay. Next question is from Dan. We have multiple entities operating in multiple countries. Does each entity only need to comply with the requirements of their country where they file taxes, or do they need to comply with the requirements of the industries they sell into?
First, yes, that they have to comply within the country. If we refer to industry, we come very quickly to such EDI transactions, which are mostly industry specific. I would say Germany, and I highlighted it in the slides, is even more specific country, like Spain as well, as EDIFACT will be still allowed even later. So this keeps this, let's say, industry-specific ways a little bit of alive. But in general, if you are operating in many countries in Europe, you have to comply to the regulations in those countries. Let's say, like Italy, in Spain, Germany. That's the first thing you have to do, and then you have to look deeply into the possibilities in those countries. What formats I can use? Can I use industry-specific formats like EDIFACT or VDA, for example? VDA for the automotive industry in Germany is very widely used, even across the border of Germany, for example. So this is something which have to be. There's not an answer very strict on that, but there's a way to consult you on that. Yeah.
Hannon asked, are you allowed to ask your vendor to still send the PDF invoice, or is there a risk for penalties? What about the open source solutions at the moment?
Okay, nobody forbids you to do that. I mean, the legally binding invoice is the invoice you receive in each country mandate. Let's give the example let's go back to Germany here. For example, X-Rechnung or Zugfurt. That's the legal binding, and the XML part is the legal binding part. So if you go to Zugfurt, which is a hybrid format, which includes a human readable PDF and has an XML attachment, in case there's any conversion error on the PDF, the XML is the legally binding version, and that counts, let's say. If you're using, for example, straight XML formats, which are not that nice human readable, nobody would forbid you to call out and say, hey, can you please send it to me by PDF or even on paper for my own internal processes. Actually, in some countries like Italy, this is still very common that you're doing STI, which is a must in Italy for e-invoicing. And aside that, for the processes, there are still many EDI processes or PDF stuff still alive, but they're not relevant for auditing or for archiving or anything like that. But in this sense, I would like to highlight our ELR solution as in our ELR monitor of our cloud solution from Avalara, we have a possibility that you can display all kind of invoices as a human readable version. That makes it much easier than you digging into any kind of XML and try to find out in which row, in which segment is the file or the data you are searching for. So you can just press on a button which displays you an invoice in an, let's say, human readable HTML nice format. That is, of course, helping in the day-to-day discussions with your business partners outside. I hope that helps to answer the question.
Yeah. Speaking of Avalara's ELR solution, we had a question. What regions is Avalara ELR currently available? Is there a list or a resource we can point them towards?
Definitely, it's basically the slide which has the circle and the many country flags. That is one source of truth where you can see which countries we are currently supporting. But there is even more than that and more detailed documents. But I would suggest to just reach out to a sales person or to me later on or to anyone in Avalara, and we can have a fully list and share it with you.
Okay. And then we're nearing the top of the hour, so we might just have time for one or two more questions. This question is from Fiona. For a country based in Ireland and invoicing customers in many European countries, when do I need to start facilitating all of this?
Latest if VIDA is becoming true in 2030.
Okay. And then we had a couple questions about Avalara's specific integrations with certain ERP systems. Is there a resource that we can point those people to?
So same, I can refer to the slide, as I think it shows most of the connectors we're having in place, such as SAP for various SAP systems and versions, as well as Oracle, NetSuite, and Workday, and others. I think we have a very large connector repository, which allows you to connect very easily from your ERP system to connect with our API on the ELR system.
Perfect. And if I can go back, I believe we are just referencing this slide and this slide. And
exactly.
Attendees will get the deck. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, we are nearing the end of time, so I will conclude Q&A. Alexander, thank you so much for presenting. Is there anything you want to say? Any final words?
No final words for me. It's e-invoicing is there. It's coming. And I think companies should not close their eyes. And from my experience, there's a lot of work in front of us as systems, ERP systems are mostly not that ready. And I would not underestimate the time. 26, 27 is coming very close. 2030 looks very far, but it also comes very quickly.
Great.
Thank you for
so much.
The time today.
Yes, I just have a couple things to close out with. You will receive a post-event email today with a link back to this console where you can get the on-demand recording, the slide deck, and the additional resources. So be on the lookout for that. And I just want to thank everyone for attending today and all the great audience questions and interaction. So this concludes our webinar.